Madonna fan in the 80s. Hello, my peoples, and welcome to this week's episode of Final Douche ASMR, where we ASMR our way through some of our favorite albums, some of my favorite albums. And if you like that kind of thing, if it sounds cool to you, please like and subscribe. And this week we are covering Madonna Louise Ciccone's very first album, 1983's self-titled debut, Madonna. So Madonna is an icon. As crazy ass as she is nowadays, she'll always be the queen of pop to me. And one of my first crushes in life. I had a Madonna poster on my wall for all the wrong reasons growing up. But her fearlessness and, her willingness to sort of explore her art and the boundaries of it and the boundaries of sort of like sexuality and expression and all that stuff that she did, even from sort of the second album, which after this is Like a Virgin. It's provocative, and she stayed that way for quite some time, messing with like religious themes and just always pushing the envelope, always reinventing herself. Definitely, I feel one of the greatest artists of the pop generation, late 20th century. I think Madonna runs it. She moved to New York City, here in New York City in 1978, and hit that downtown scene running. She was a member of the rock group The Breakfast Club and another one called Emmy. She played guitar, and she was a huge dancer. She's a big dancer. She danced at the Alvin Ailey studio with choreographer Martha Graham, who is iconic in her field. And she eventually made her way to, after she left the group Emmy, she started focusing on herself, and she made a demo, and she got her demo to Mark Cremins, who was the DJ at Danceteria, which is one of the biggest nightclubs here in New York City. And she had this single called Everybody, and he started playing it, and people loved it. And eventually, she got picked up by Warner Brothers for like a 3-single deal, and that sort of situation eventually ended up to the production of this album. And actually, just quick mention that she was also during the period right before she blew up with this album, she was in a relationship with Basquiat, who was one of the best artists that came out the New York City downtown scene. They lived in a Soho loft together, so it's like you can't really get any more downtown 80s artist in New York City scene than that. But they started working on this album, and this album, once Warner Brothers got involved, they got Reggie Lucas, who once worked with people like Roberta Flack and Stephanie Mills. Also got John Jellybean Benitez to produce, who she was dating at the time, and also Mark Cremins from Danceteria, was a producer on this album. And Burning Up, which is on this album, was on the flip side of that first single, Everybody. So Burning Up's been around for a while. And this was released in 1983, and it was recorded between 1982 and 1983. And the studio she used was Sigma Sound out in New York City. And yeah, this was, it was dropped on the Sire label of Warner Brothers Records. And besides it being a hit single, it also had some videos attached to it for Holiday and Borderline and Lucky Star, which were just huge smash hits that were, that came from this album. And, she influenced an entire generation of female artists, people like Debbie Gibson and Lady Gaga. I mean, it's all sort of, came from Madonna. Okay, so the album peaked at number 10 on the Billboard 200 and has been certified 5 times platinum. It sold 10 million copies between 1983 and 1984. Wow. So yeah, this album, helped, get Madonna, Madonna took the world by storm with this album. So that's, I think, all I can sort of say about the production. It's Madonna, so like she's I still see her as sort of one of the biggest stars in the world. So there's nothing much I can sort of say about her that hasn't been said. But this album is sort of the DNA of the 80s, I feel, and that means it's in my DNA because this was peak childhood. As I said, this album was definitely this. And some of the albums I followed were the soundtrack of my childhood and grade school into sort of junior high and even into high school. High school, she came out with Bedtime Stories, sort of the last album of hers that I was really sort of familiar with. And Bedtime Stories dropped at a time where it was like I was deeply into like alternative rock and Nirvana and Pearl Jam, but still I made time for Madonna. Alright, let's look inside. This is the liners. Not in the best condition, but we'll keep. I guess this is the Sire logo. It's part of Warner. Alright, so first song on Madonna's first album is Lucky Star, which is just a legit banger. Gets people on their feet to this day. Number 2 is Borderline. Such a softer sort of sound, and it's just a loving sound that song has. And number 3 is Burning Up, which apparently was lighting up the clubs way back in 1982. And the 4th song on the first side is I Know It. Oh, I didn't see this. Right there. What an icon. Alright. Number 2 is Holiday, which it's, made sense that this was, such, her first sort of jump off on the club scene. It's legit banger. Number 2 is Think of Me. Number 3 is Physical Attraction, which was also been around for, was around sort of the club era before this, since 82. And number 4 is Everybody, and that was sort of her So the underground hit. Alright, so I'm gonna keep this. Let's get this back. My cousin Sybil, who was, like my sister, was such a big Madonna fan in the 80s. I think it influenced me. But, my cover. The cover, there is a story too. So the first cover, I wonder if I can find this online. I'll try. But it was shot by photographer Edo Bertoglio and designed by her friend Martin Bourgoin. But she said it wasn't iconic enough. So photographer Gary Heery, under the direction of Karen Goldberg, came up with this one, shot this one, which, sort of has a, more of or she felt it was more iconic, but it definitely has sort of a Marilyn Monroe, Betty Boop sort of feel to it. So, yes, eventually I'll look up that, see if that other cover exists and make the comparison. Like to get my hands on Like a Virgin. Who's that girl, actually? Maybe even Like a Prayer. You got it. One of the best pop records of all time. Sired by the Queen of Pop. Madonna's 1983 debut, Madonna. Folks, thank you for watching. See you next time.